Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening and good morning to my friends in the West. Welcome to one of the most amazing episodes and the one that I was primarily looking for today. We are live on Metamorphosis, our season one of this knowledgeful and so exciting series of metaverse and metaverse related conversations that we are having. I just want to highlight we are live on various platforms, but over the last 6 weeks since we launched this entire program, we have multiple global influencers, visionaries, leaders, and founders and CEOs of large corporations who are actively working in the metaverse joined. And what it did, it created a community of more than 4,000 plus subscribers base of MetaMons that we have. These are the people who would like to hear from leaders who have appeared on the platform. They want to work and do business with the leaders and visionaries who have appeared on the platform. And that's not it. Over the last 6 weeks, we have received more than 120 speaker requests to join on the platform. We are so elated and excited to this very interesting conversation today. And this is going to be a showstopper show because today is the last episode of season one of Metamorphosis. This entire event is possible because of some of our very amazing partners who have been extremely extraordinarily supporting us. I want to thank the World Crypto Forum. I want to thank the Crypto World Conference. I want to thank India Ahead. I want to thank RPX. I want to thank Almond, the platform. I love my company. Definitely, they have been behind this. I want to thank A Technos and Go Games, India's largest gaming as a service platform. I want to thank Lowy, the supply chain company and supply chain and RP automation company. And these are the ones who have been constantly helping us. I want to highlight that this entire show has been done without no commercial support from any of the partners. None of the speakers charged any money. None of the organizers asked for any money. And that clearly highlights the power of community building that we have been doing. Talking about the community today, it is extremely exciting because the speaker that we have is the one who's known for creating joint ventures, creating communities, supporting youth, supporting women, and not just at their country level, their state level, but at a global level. I want to invite our today's speaker, the master stroke, the showstopper, and the amazing women leader, Kimberly King, on the virtual stage with me. Can we have Kimberly with me, please? Hello, Kimberly. It's good morning to you.
Yes, it is. Good morning, AJ. Wow,
Awesome,
I love
awesome.
this enthusiasm already. I need that in the morning or whatever
Oh,
time it is
there
for.
you go. What time it is? It is like 7 a.m. at your side?
Yeah, I think it's past 7:30.
Oh, nice.
I was
Very
up
nice.
at 4:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. So, while many of your followers are live watching this us on various platforms, I would like to quickly introduce Kimberly to those who, still thinking that who she is and what this amazing woman does. Kimberly King is the CEO of Human Tech, and we'll learn more about it. She's a social entrepreneur and a futurist with a passion for partnerships, strategy, technology for good, and global impact. Hola, hola, hola. She is also a UN advisor for innovation, diversity, and inclusion and the SDGs. Her expertise includes cross sector strategic alliances working with American Express, Coca Cola, AT&T, and the city of Los Angeles, the World Trade Center Association, and many others, generating more than $4 billion in partner revenue to date. Wow, Kimberly, you did it your own so far. How was it? Tell us more about you first.
um, wow. What that really means is that I have been around a while and I like to stay busy. That's really what that means. Um, and I would say that uh, what I hope people hear about this is that I believe very strongly in the power of working together and rising together. That's why I work in partnerships. That's why I work across sectors, is that in reality, we all are in the picture anyway. Why not come to the table, bring our skills, our visions, and our capabilities together and do more? So that's really what I get up to do every day, and with the focus on impact.
Wow, wow. And I know that backstage we were talking about impact. Tell us a little bit more about your advisory role at UN. And you talked about youth and connecting it with women. And there are a lot of things that you are part of. What exactly is happening? Tell us about the ecosystem.
Okay, great. Well, first, I want to clarify I am not an employee of the United Nations.
Yes.
And the United Nations is sort of like a global conglomerate. It's really many entities operating under an umbrella with lots of autonomy. So there isn't one door that you knock on called the UN. But I've been associated with the UN ecosystem for 20 years
Wow.
and have had the privilege to address audiences there in different levels more than 20 times. So I'm very familiar with the process and have watched it evolve a lot, but I've worked with about 7 or 8 different divisions of the United Nations.
Wow.
UNFPA, UN Women, UNESCO, UNICEF, UNDP, UNEP. All of those are acronyms you can look up, but they're different divisions. A couple of the things that you and I were talking about that I'll share again is one of the organizations that I was and am a co-founder for is called One Island Institute, that a special partner and I created and founded in Mauritius. And because we were launching, it was part of Rio Plus 20, the 20-year celebration of the Earth Summit. So it was a big deal. And it was all about the future we want. It was all about envisioning the future. We had such success as partners with something called the Global Dialogues, and 4 amazing partners that we had there, a couple of which may be listening. But we were invited to then work with island nations around the world. We were on this little island, Mauritius, and there's such a thing as Small Island Nation Network. They're called SIDS. And we built a global youth leadership platform using technology, like we're talking today, to connect young leaders all around the world who have to face the reality as a small nation. And what do they do? And I've worked around the world with women's education and girls' education and empowerment, entrepreneurship, microfinance and microenterprise, and larger. That's just a taste. I was there for the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, for 15 years. I was there at the birth of the SDGs, the global goals we have today, and we're over halfway there on the time, but we're not over halfway there on accomplishing. So you have to stay the course. These are big goals, AJ, and you have to play the long game for humanity.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. And that what excited me talking to you about is that I saw a perfect blend of technology, humanity, experiences, and definitely partnerships. Tell us more about what your company Human Tech does and how it is related to the metaverse, and how are these dots connected?
Great question. Well, I'm very aware of words and names. And while just like metamorphosis, I love it. I used to do a talk on metamorphosis and transformation before the meta part meant this to others. But I love everything it stands for. So names matter. So Human Tech is a very deliberate name because humans come first. It could also say Planet Tech. You know what I mean? So, but it's about putting what matters first and using technology as a tool of our times to do that. And I'll also clarify, there is a company called Human Tech that's a big HR kind of company. So I am humantech.co in case anybody is looking the wrong door. And I'm a big fan of theirs. But it mattered to me that I make our mission and our name the same. That how can we play a role in supporting the well-being of humanity through every kind of technology, even if it's emotional technology, if it's, EQ, IQ, AR, VR, these are all tools to me to accelerate our ability to learn, our ability to connect, and our ability to envision. That's part of what's coming into view. These tools get more and more rich and more, powerful, that we need to pay attention how we use them. But human tech, I've been working in a Web 1 world and a Web 2 world, and now we're entering Web 3 world. So for me, it's just a continuum. I've always been at the Tech for Good table. I'm a member of AR for Good, AI for Good, Tech for Good, all the for goods for that. So before we were talking about the metaverse, again, close to 20 years ago, I was working on a project with NASA in the Los Angeles area. And I saw a simulator. They were simulating environments. Today, we would call that virtual reality. I saw a fabricator. Today, we would call that 3D printing. These are not new ideas or new tools. They are evolving. It has been here for many years. We're catching up. Now we're ready for critical mass adoption. That's where we are in Web3.
Fantastic. I think it's so relevant, right? Because on one side, we are talking about AI, right? And everyone was like freaked out. Okay, what all AI can do. And then we have leaders like Elon Musk who are saying AI is far more dangerous, right? On the other side, suddenly we see metaverse, Web 3.0, blockchain. And probably, I've been talking about Web 3.0. Someone actually reached out to me and he said that, do you know there is a company which is working on Web 7.0? I said, I'm so sorry. I have no idea what Web 7.0 is, because I'm still struggling. A lot of companies are just thinking, what's the difference in Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0, right? And while we started from just information reading to information interaction, and now we are talking towards experiences, I think it makes total sense that human experiences will continue to evolve. There is a report which came from, I think, one of the leading consulting company, assuming I think it was McKinsey or PwC or Deloitte or something. They said that about 30% of the total global population, okay, which right now is on internet, okay, they are ready to experience things. When I say experience things, that they are ready to experience the Web 3.0. And that's a very big population that we are looking at. But still, there are companies who have not even come to Web 2.0. I know about many operations in country like India, and that's where people get freaked out when we talk about the next level of experience. They're still happening on pen and paper. They're happening offline. Those experiences are delivered by putting posters on the shop. There is a massive opportunity just to take them from 1.0, or I call it, offline to online, and then you take it online to experiencing the online, right? So there is a massive opportunity which is happening, and that's why we always feel as a company as well, thinking about what are those things which will go in the metaverse. One, a lot of people are talking about replacing the physical experiences and moving them to metaverse. I primarily oppose it. I always say that unless you add value by replacing it in the metaverse, it's not going to help. So what we are thinking about is creating utility versus things which brands will continue to use on a day-to-day basis. And we are working towards that. So it's very exciting. And I think it makes total sense. The metaverses has to be human-centric. And as you rightly mentioned, people tech, planet tech, or probably people worse, right? And I am trying to understand, and probably you will have more insights, number one, how human tech connects to the concepts of human verse or people verse and experiences there. And what do you think of this? I mean, are you in favor of, okay, yes or no, that yes, these experiences moving to metaverses make sense?
This is such an important conversation, AJ, as we know, because here we are, cheerleaders, champions, ambassadors, for these new technologies. I mean,
Yeah.
really, we're pro this, right? And at the same time, I can make a strong argument for unplugging everything, keeping it natural, close to the earth, spend time with your family, be outdoors. I am not an either or. I'm a strong advocate for the power of and. The power of and. And you made an important point a couple minutes ago. If it's not adding value, if it doesn't bring more on all sides of the process, then it's just activity. It's just activity, and we're making stuff because we can. Now, it's okay to make stuff because you can, but it's also not very noble, and I'm not sure your impact is positive. And everything you do makes impact. You just don't know if it's good or bad, and you need to make an intention around that. But I think that we have the possibility of enriching our digital experience and translating that appreciation over to our physical world. I believe we imagine and play with more freedom in this world and can translate it into our physical world. We have to choose that. It doesn't happen automatically. And you and I both know people are already addicted to their smartphones and their iPads. That's probably the biggest addiction on the planet, is now digital addiction. So, of course, if it's even more exciting, even more participative, we have the possibility that people will spend even more and they will disconnect. That is true. That is why we must bring the balance in our message, the balance in our method. You know, the humans still need to decide where we want to drive planet Earth and our lives on it. But it's not or.
Absolutely. I think I completely agree with you. It's an and, right? It's not or, right? You talked about addiction to mobile and all. I have some data, okay? And this is a fact. I'm sure we all have experienced it. Since the launch of a television, okay, people were watching things 300 feet away, probably in stadium, in parties, and all of that. The television launched in 1960 or 70 or so. We got hooked. The content came closer to a 9 feet distance, right? In next 20 years, when laptops and computers came, the content came even more closer to probably 3 feet. And then in next 10 to 15 years, when the mobile came, the content came closer to like 9 inches, right? So 300 feet to 9 inches, it took us probably, 50, 60 or so years. And now what we are seeing is, the next wave is where the content will be next to your eyes. It could be AR glasses, it could be contact lenses, right? And everyone is talking about it, or VR headset. But this is a natural metamorphosis which has to happen, because content is going to be consumed. Technologies will continue to empower it, and innovators like yourself and various other leaders, they will continue to find out opportunities to make it more immersive, more useful, and of course more efficient for people to consume the content, learn from it, and eventually deliver something which is not yet there, right? So my question to you, or probably more of a conversation topic to have this discussion, would be, other than the what you think of metaverse and all, for the people verse, what are the other key things? You talked about sustainability, absolutely, right? And after blockchain, the next biggest topic is sustainable blockchain. Everyone is talking about that. So what are those other things that you think need to be there before we can actually accomplish something big in the metaverse?
Well, this is what I spend a lot of my time talking about, because we're in still, even though things are moving quickly and people are in a frenzy, either worried about it or worried they're going to miss out on the boat. And we're just at the early stages. Creativity has not got a limit on it. But there is such a thing as early adopters, and that's people like us. But I'm at the table, like Human Tech is a member of the Metaverse Standards Forum. That is a consortium of companies and individuals across all kinds of sectors. In fact, I'd love to invite you to do that with
Sure.
Amin. But
Sure.
I believe that it is really important, vitally important, that we take all the lessons of Web 1, Web 2, and just life to date. If this is a moment where we are reimagining and recreating a next reality, our next overlay of the world we want, then what do we know? We know that this time it should not be created by a handful of people who look alike. That's unacceptable. So, diversity in all its beauty and all its essential qualities. That table needs to have everybody, all ages, all races, all genders, all points of view, because they live out there anyway. Bring them in the room on the front end. Don't just make them live the consequences on the back. So diversity, inclusion, it matters greatly. It's not just a buzzword. It will change what we create. It will change the future if we do it or if we don't. So I take that very seriously. And I'm always paying attention who is not at the table.
Yeah.
Not just who is at the table, who is not at the table. And keep adding chairs in case you didn't notice. Be ready to make more room. I will also say, and along those lines, access. If when we are looking at a metaverse, I don't think it's just about headgear and things like that. But if we're creating things where you need 5G internet, an expensive headset that changes because the technology keeps upgrading, that means that a high percentage of the people of the world can't play. They can't meet us there. So access matters. We must, it's not optional. If this is going to be a big part of the fabric of society and an option, then make that on-ramp easy and wide. No cost, low cost, and make the user interface intuitive. I can code a little, but I'm not great and I don't love it. Sorry. But I tell people I don't know how to make the watch, but I know what time it is. So
I love it. I love it. Last time when I spoke to you, you gave that example, and I actually, typed it and sent it to, Alicia, saying that let's keep this. This is a very beautiful, para that you say that,
Well, I think it helps me. At first, I didn't consider myself in the tech world because I wasn't building the technology, but it takes all of us. We are all parts of ecosystems, and I am part of that ecosystem. And I can translate what people can't understand about how the watch is made and keep their eye on what time is it on the planet? What time is it for us? What should we be doing in this time? And that matters too. So we all play roles. But I will say that the user interface matters because you should not have to be a programmer. You shouldn't have to be rich. You shouldn't have to be mathematically oriented. Almost all humans can learn to push a few buttons.
No, absolutely. And it makes that's how people can access it. One of the reasons why internet was accepted globally, that it was easy to access for everyone to go online and learn from it and probably experience it. Right now, one of the myths that in the metaverse ecosystem is that it starts with VR. And what we as a leader or community leader will continue to explain and kind of clarify as a myth, saying that VR is just one part of it. There is AR, there is 3D experiences, there are mobile experiences, right? And there can be device-driven experiences. In the next season, we are actually inviting one of the health tech CEO, and they are calling their company a health tech metaverse, probably one of the first in the world, I guess. And they are trying to connect the devices that people wear. It could be band or something like that. And they are creating a complete ecosystem around it, connecting it with blockchain so that people will also get some rewards in digital coins of their company for being healthy. We invited, one of the co-founders of a company called Lifeties. As she said that this is one of the first financial metaverses where you could actually plan your lives. We had Brannon, who joined us last time, who talked about creating the network of these providers in metaverse experiences, right? Dr. Martha, when she appeared last time, she talked about how this entire inclusion, and she also spoke about the inclusivity and diversity and making sure that it is accessible to everyone. What we are seeing here, that while we as a community enablers or on the forefront of the community of this entire ecosystem, we are talking about it, but there is a lot more that needs to be done so that it goes down to every person who is right now not sure about it, or probably suspectable about, okay, how is it truly what it is. Because we are in the earliest stage, right? You mentioned we are in the 1995 of internet right now, where
Yeah.
people are thinking, why would I have a 3D experience when I can actually go and have the same experience out there, right? And these questions will come. Are you getting these kind of questions on your side as well?
Always. As I mentioned, I feel like a mashup between a long timer, OG, and a new student learning every day. But like, I had my first full body scan avatar years ago and was
Nice.
playing in Second Life. So, but what brought me in was actually the healthcare sector, and both physical healthcare and mental well-being. And I worked with Deepak Chopra and people bringing in mind, body, spirit. We were connecting visualization technology with biometric feedback, that I could bring my heart rate down. I could change my state. I saw a virtual surgery where the patient was in one country and a surgeon was in another years ago as we were breaking through. I worked and met with an organization called HOSA, which brings in high school students to support them to become into the healthcare industry. These young people can learn without having to learn on an animal or a human. The technology, as it becomes more and more powerful and precise, their brain, what I was so excited as I began to learn why simulation training is used for aviators, astronauts, drivers, people that have to face dangerous things. That's because practicing has consequences, and oops is a bad thing in many of those environments. And simulation, it's really the connection of science, brain science. How does the brain learn? How does the eye process information? How does the sound make me experience? Is it live or is it simulated? Now that's dangerous also. When people get afraid of that, I understand why. I'm just as likely to talk about the boundaries and the consequences as I am the exciting possibilities. But I'm going to focus on the possibilities because I believe these are gifts to humankind. Use the gifts for good. But now we can help a medical student, and the young people are oriented. They don't want to learn the old way. This genie is out of the bottle, by the way, AGI. It's not going back. So we might as well channel it for good, because you're not going to put it back in the bottle. If you don't want to play, don't play. But you won't make it go away. So you might as well make it go a good way. And if you've got a medical student who has so vividly walked into a surgical room 1,000 times, they've done this operation 1,000 times, so realistically that the brain, the body, all of that alignment knows. It has experiences. Experience is what makes you better, wiser. This technology is agreeing with how our human system works and helping us create such vivid simulation that I can learn in rapid time. I can accelerate my skill in rapid record time. That means you can do other things with your brain and your skills. That's why we must have rules and boundaries and ethics.
No,
But
no, absolutely.
how powerful it is that we can do that. How powerful it is that we can do that.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And as you were talking about, I thought about one of the conversation I had with one of my friend and a co-founder of a simulation company, and they have about 16,000 plus assets that they have created for various sort of trainings. One of the things that they said that how do you train people about what happens when there is a fire, right? You cannot create fire, but if you can create that simulation and give them a training in a real so-called fire-like environment, they will be better trained. Last year I went to a university in south part of India, Chennai, and they have a live ship simulator, right? And it's a wide, about 20 feet wide, I think 30 feet high simulator. And I happened to see the experience of facing troubles, the 5 meter high waves, right? And how these captains or the sailors of that ship would learn about it. And I was thinking, this entire simulator has come just, as I said, couple of inches away from your eyes. And one of the important thing that I learned that day, Kimberly, and I would love to share that with you, our mind is very, very powerful. It reacts and simulates so quickly that we cannot imagine. So what I loved it, that while this entire simulator was static, it was not moving. But as soon as I saw a 5 feet height sort of wave coming towards us, I felt as if I was getting some pushback from the wave while it was all static. And this is where metaverse based learnings are creating a total different segment. Of course, learning is one big thing, training is another thing. And third, as I mentioned, imagine converting those opportunities which can be done digitally and then now in the metaverse much better than how it used to be done in the offline space, which is absolutely where it is. And not to mention, one of our mentors is ex-CEO of one of the largest hospital chains in the country. And he gave an example last time when he was here. He said that imagine there are hundreds of such surgeries, probably thousands, which cannot be done if there are no live human bodies, because on the dead body, those surgeries will not work because of the organs are not working, so we don't know. And it's very challenging for doctors to learn about those surgeries. Now imagine if they could learn those things while you have a meta-human, I'm using a word, where on top of which you could do these surgeries. So, as I again mentioned, while we are pro and we are talking about it, we are holding the fort, saying that, yes, this is the future, but there is a big segment, okay, which is also pushing it back. Some are pushing because they are not sure about how it works. And that's one responsibility that people like us have, that let's make it easy, accessible, and simple, right? Not to use complex words, not to use complex theorems and all of that, because it's multi-perspective. I always give this an example. In the mother language of Hindi, which is Prakrit, Sanskrit, there is a word called anekantvad, and that means multi-perspective, right? And that's exactly what metaverse is. Right now, it's multi-perspective. Someone is seeing from the top, they're seeing a different view. Someone is seeing on the right, it's a different view. And eventually, all of this will start to combine. And this is how internet, grown, right? Initially, people were thinking that why would I send an digital email when I can go and just drop the postcard, right? That was, I was listening to an interview from, I think, Bill Gates or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's hilarious now. In hindsight, it's comedy. It wasn't comedy that night. You know what I mean?
It wasn't comedy, yes.
No, the interviewer was representing most of the people listening. Now
Correct.
it sounds like comedy. Who would say, what's the internet? That's
Right.
only with hindsight that you realize. Every new technology, every shift in humankind, when we have moved from the industrial age to the information age, the digital age, each time was a paradigm that was so fuzzy and nervous for people that they rejected it and threw stones. Now, I like to hold those perspectives in both hands because it matters that we are safe. It matters that we are ethical. It matters that we make choices. That just because we can do it doesn't mean we should. Just because I can set the house on fire doesn't mean I should, and there are consequences. Don't set our digital house on fire. Practice safely. Make rules that put humans first. That the well-being of our human family, our planet family, our children, that's our responsibility. We don't delegate that. So if we're the creators, we're also the deciders of this use is good, this use is harmful. And technology is neither good nor bad. It simply is, just like a dollar or a euro or whatever the currency is. You can use that to do something good, or you can do that to commit a crime. You can,
True. True.
So it's in the hands of the creator, the user, the decider of that. And that's why I talk a lot about a mindful metaverse. Mindful means I am intentional. I'm not random. And I learn. I did that. That was a bad thing. I don't think that's a good direction. Use your discipline to say no to yourself.
Yeah.
We're going to have very complex ethics questions ahead, just like we do today. This is a long way from over. Many dialogues and passionate conversations about right and wrong and yes or no. That's why we all have to be at the table. What you said about multiple perspectives, the only way to make that 360, that hologram perspective, is to invite everyone to the table and we all weigh in. There is a statistic I'll add right now that over half, it's between 50 and 60%, close to 60% of all the adult population that was a big survey. They have they're terrified. They're very concerned, let's say, about the misuse of their personal data.
Yes.
Because it tracks us. It knows we're sitting in this town at this time. It knows that I logged on at 4:30 this morning. It knows that I'm talking to you in Mumbai and where I'm sitting. It knows all of that. And it remembers every place I went. We already do that. Now immersive can track my eyes, can know my blood pressure if it wants. Did I like it? It knows it's full body surveillance, or can be. So I will not downplay that there is another side of this technology.
Yeah.
But the upside is here and for us to use, and the dangers are for us to choose how to keep the human family safe and do this together.
No, absolutely. On the other side, I have some very interesting data. This is from a report from McKinsey, which I later reviewed. Almost 60% of consumers using today's early version of the metaverse are excited about transitioning either every day or pretty much daily doing activities to the metaverse, with some of the key examples: connectivity among people, the biggest driver, followed by the potential to explore digital worlds, right? And it's so exciting to hear these things, right? Another data point that I have is, which is again even more exciting, from the researchers and the people who participated in these surveys, they said about 81% of Gen Z have played video games in the past 6 months, averaging 7.3 hours per week to 7.8 hours per week, right? Now, if you just combine these two things, there was a concept called video fatigue, or as we used to call Zoom fatigue. But why there is no Zoom fatigue with Netflix? I can watch Netflix series binging for 6 hours back to back. But if I connect a meeting for 45 minutes, I start getting sleep, right? That's one thing. So I think content and experience is going to play a very, very important role, because what we need to also think is that it's not just for fun. Eventually, all of these things will go in the way where people will continue to use it, and not just for engaging once or twice. It will be something that they would like to continue to do that. And in order to do that, I come back to your point where you said inclusion is very important. In fact, in one of the speakers in the Metaverse Summit, they said that imagine those people who were not able to walk, right? But now they have an opportunity to actually visit any place in the world virtually, and not just visit, experience it. And that's one big opportunity of inclusion. Second, imagine I'm joining a metaverse conference or metaverse experience, something like this. My digital twin, which is my avatar or anything what you would say, is pretty much an equal representation of me and my activities, right? And that's very powerful, because now, though I may be handsome as I look, but if I don't want to be looking who I am right now, I can change it and I can be more happy. However, I think it's very important that we keep it focused, considering that yes, there will be challenges that will be coming. Security is one big thing. I hope that blockchain, however, we have started to see some flaws coming on the blockchains as well, attacks and all of this is happening. But I think it's the earliest days of the metaverse or web 3.0, where there is a massive potential, right? And we cannot just stop by saying, oh, it's not working, or it might not work. I think for technologies like this, failing is an important stuff, because the more we fail, the more powerful it becomes. Do you think yes, this is how it should be, or do you have some thoughts on that, Kimberly?
Totally. The most, we have many superpowers as humans, but our most powerful superpower is imagination. And our most powerful fuel is feeling. If I can imagine it so vividly that I can feel it, something almost supernatural, maybe truly supernatural, but certainly superpowered, happens. That I call down the forces of my own creative genius and I align it with the grand creative genius, and something that was a thought appears.
There you go. Yeah.
That is the possibility we have here to use for fun, for just creativity, for creativity's sake, but also to change the world. A big part of my work is inviting people to use that superpower of imagination to imagine the world and the future we want. I've done that hundreds or thousands of times, invite people in. And sometimes we draw on paper. You don't need anything but your mind and your imagination. But early on in the financial services industry, we were working on visualization simulation, so that when I did my financial planning, I could imagine that life and make it more vivid. We did that in environments. Imagine this healed. Imagine your life healed. That's trying to help your imagination get even more vivid feedback.
Yeah.
And that feedback, we know scientifically, has a biofeedback. It ups my feeling. I will love to play with, use any tool that helps me extend my superpowers. And if we do that together and we design a better world, because we all can imagine a better world and do, I believe the most important thing we can do with the metaverse and Web3 is to use it to imagine ourselves as even better humans, able to use this untapped potential of us and an even better world. Heal, repair, regenerate, build, co-create. These are our box of technical crayons, 3D, and let's all meet there and co-create the world we want. That is the purpose of this for me.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what Metamorphosis is, which you have worked on and we are creating here. We are getting a lot of questions, but let me take a few one. This is from Brannon. Brannon is CEO of Infinity Metaverse. Very exciting work which has happened, in last couple of months or probably years since Brannon has been working on it. His question is, Kimberly, how do you approach the ethical concepts of sovereign rights, for example, content censoring? How do you address sharing, connectivity, inclusiveness, or when so many sovereign powers are actively against it? The complexity of compliances ultimately leads to exclusion of people. What are your thoughts on this? And that's a very powerful point, because it makes total sense, right? Some people are leading it while we are talking about decentralized, but still, ultimately it leads to exclusion of people when we are thinking about creating some sort of rights or ethical boundaries around it. Thoughts? Any thoughts, Kimberly?
Well, that's a question bigger than you or I alone can answer or will answer. But
I
I
know,
will
and it
tell
has
you,
come from a big person. I know.
yeah, but I mean, it's a really important question. It's a really important dichotomy. And one of my colleagues, Alex Lee, does a series on LinkedIn inviting us to have these conversations. And
Great.
I've been a speaker with him. Hi, Alex. um, I gave a presentation about creating an ethical and sustainable and mindful metaverse. And so some of what I talked about is this contradiction of things that human beings want. And if you can imagine my slide, it had a scales. Okay. And how do we find our right balance? Because all these needs matter. And some of them were our wants and our needs, our rights and our freedoms, our privacy and our safety,
Yeah.
our security, our well-being. Where do my rights, when your what is it, when your rights start, mine stop? That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, well, I, uh, let's use crypto. Decentralization. I'm a big decentralization. I don't like hierarchy. I like peer to peer. I like lots of freedom. But I also like that if someone stole money out of my account, I would like to call somebody and tell them to fix that.
So
Stop
true.
that. Well,
Yeah.
if you want total freedom, you also have total responsibility. There is no daddy to call. There is no mommy coming. So the checks and balances are going to be, what do we consider universal, agreed to rights and safeties?
Yeah.
Will I give up this much freedom to have this much security? That will be the balancing act. And that's why you want everyone participating in the conversation. If you're not active in developing it, you'll get what we give you. So if
True.
you have an opinion, bring it to the design table. But to answer your question, it will have to be some relationship between protections that are good universally, so that bad things don't just happen at random, and education, so that I know how to protect myself, not just have someone looking after me, and a new understanding of freedom and responsibility. That's also a consciousness that is coming in. I am a creator. I have consequences for what I create. That's an important evolution for humankind to get it right.
No, I think that's absolutely how it should be. Because, and I probably, there are more questions coming, but I'll just think about what you talked about, artists. I think the most happy people right now, after gamers, about metaverse and all these 3D experiences, are the creative people, the artists, because this is the first time where they have an opportunity to create something which others can not just see but experience, which has never happened before. And that's the true revolution that we are seeing here, right? And This is where we see when you give opportunity, empower people to do something that they always wanted to do, and that helps them grow, in their life, in others' life, in the perspective and the vision that they're seeing. That's exactly what metamorphosis is. I think, Kimberly, it's been amazing and pleasure to hear you and your insights, hearing about what you're doing for youth community at UN and definitely at Human Tech, and connecting all these dots together. I think one message that I can definitely take from you is that it is not just about creating a tool or technology. You have to make sure that human experiences are delivered at its best whenever you deliver that. And that's the true success of any technology or solutions would be. I think so fantastic talking to you. But before we actually close off this session, I would like to highlight our previous speakers and mentors like Dr. Martha Bokenfield, who was here, and she shared such amazing insights with us before in this series. Theo Priestley, my friend, you are amazing. Keep rocking, and all the work that you are doing to empower the community. Fantastic. I love it, and we are very proud of you. Paula, my friend, in the London, in the New York, the Web3 gallery, and all of the work that you have been doing. Such amazing, interesting conversation with you. Every time I see your post, I get your messages. I just love it. Varun, my friend, you have been an inventor, a designer, an innovator. Continue to rock. Keep on putting those, buckles and medals that makes it different from everyone else who's doing. Charmaine, how can I forget you, right? It's been always pleasure talking to you. Apur, my brother, okay, you have been a gaming innovator. You continue to lead it, and I think there is a lot more that can be done. Jesse, thank you so much for sharing your insights every time. While we were online, offline, or on stage or off stage, you have been always there. Caroline, it's so amazing to know about you and the work that you have been doing, particularly connecting the dots, making people, or I would rather say helping people learn how they can plan it better. And my own Metadeva, Vinita, you have been such an inspiration for us for making sure that we all know about the news and everything that's happening around us. This has been such an amazing season. We expected to do only 1 or 2 episodes, but as we continue to learn from people, we talked about Gamerverse, we talked about Peopleverse, we talked about a Channelverse, we talked about Opportunityverse, we talked about Valueverse. Wow, I cannot just imagine happening this without all of the love and support that this community has been given. I would also like to thank Crypto World Conference and World Crypto Forum for their continued support and leadership in terms of advising us, giving us details, and mentoring us. I also want to highlight India Ahead for their continuous media support and promotion support that they have been doing this. RPX, I love the tokens, and we will continue to be the gaming collectibles with you. A-Technos, thank you so much for your constant operational support and digital support that you have been doing. Abhay Ventures, well, we are looking for funds. Please fund us as much as you can and as early as you can. Thank you so much for your support, and the Virtual Crunch for all the coverage and support that you have been doing. So it's been amazing so far, and how can I forget our orchestrator and show producer, Alicia, who has been actively supporting us throughout this. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for the work that Alicia and your team is doing. It's been amazing. And finally, Kimberly, I don't think so that we could have closed off the series without someone as amazing as you. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, talking to you. And it is just a start, as we always say. One thing that I loved about Web 3.2 and metaverse related communities is that we don't feel the competition. We are feeling as if we are already partners. We are supporting each other to grow together because we all see a potential to create something big. And that's exactly what I think you have given some examples. You talked about some people, and we have been also speaking. Any final parting thoughts that you might want to share with us? I think this has been amazing with you, Kimberly. Over to you.
Well, first of all, AJ and Alicia, since you're the two I've dealt with, I know you have a whole wonderful team, but I can honestly say this is one of the most delightful experiences I have had. And it's great to meet people who walk their talk. about excellence, about community, about collaboration. That really inspires me to keep going. And to find my mates like that and my co creators around the world, that's a good day for me. So I love that all the names that you said, these are folks that I know and admire. So thank you for curating and continuing a quality conversation. This is an exciting time, like a new renaissance. What's the most exciting is not that we aren't creative anyway, but that this is catalyzing at mass, exponentially, more simultaneous creativity and reimagining than has happened since the Renaissance. So that's a big deal. Now let's do it wisely. On the Human Tech website, there's a quote that I put there from me when someone asked me about what this means. And I said, humanity plus technology equals impact. Add wisely. And
Wow.
let's go create a better world together.
Wow, fantastic. Kimberly, I think this show couldn't have been ended without such wising words from your side. Thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to connect not just on MetaMonks or Metamorphosis, on various other forums. And I remember you said that you might be traveling, please do visit us in our Delhi NCR office. We'd love to host you and probably have an actual physical conversation and a show with you. So with that, signing off, thank you so much, everyone, and look forward to see you in the next season with something more exciting, with more meta humans or meta leaders and visionaries. Signing off, ciao, and thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.